Talking hospitality now. Christopher Hewitt is a senior consultant at TRI Hospitality Consulting. He's with us in the studio. Christopher, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you again. We've invited you in because it has been a busy week for Dubai's hospitality industry. We have had, among other things, a new hotel brand from Jumeirah Venue. Meraas announcing 3 theme parks and talk of a stock market listing. We've got Mandarin Oriental unveiling its Dubai debut and others. Making sense of it all, Chris. Let's start with the new brand from Jumeirah, because this is interesting. Globally, hotel chains have been doing this for a while, haven't they? Sheraton with W and so many others. And now we're seeing the local powerhouse doing it. What did you make of this announcement?
Well, I think it's a natural evolution that a hotel management company will make, and obviously diverse their brand offerings. And Jumeirah's got a very strong reputation, not only in Dubai and GCC, but also internationally with the presence that they have overseas. Obviously, there is a big gap in the market for high quality mid-market and 4-star hotels, and there certainly is an opportunity for Jumeirah to expand it and diversify their product offering and capture a greater share of the visitors that are coming to the market.
If we look at other hotel companies that have done this, there have been so many examples. Some have worked really, really well. W's one that I mentioned. Others haven't worked so well, and they dilute the brand and cannibalise the brand, don't they? So what have we learned about this, the do's and don'ts?
I think it's about starting off in the right direction. You really need to know exactly what you're trying to achieve with this new brand. You know, W, as you mentioned, was a lifestyle brand. They wanted to really target the younger generation, provide an environment which is different from the old stuffy environment that you get at some of the historical properties. They wanted to be engaging. They wanted to create a strong atmosphere that people will enjoy and encapsulate the experience. So it's really about making sure that you start off right and looking at your key target markets and ensuring that you constantly maintain the focus on that. You see fashion brands that are now linking up for hotels, and some have been successful and some have not been, because sometimes they just haven't really had the right focus, energy, and also the courage of the conviction to really expand that brand and focus on expanding it properly.
I think also that a lot of the parent brands, if you like, aren't strong enough for it. I mean, I think everybody likes to think their brand is strong, well-known, has huge penetration, but the mere fact is that a lot of them simply don't. And, like the Jumeirah Group's Venue that we hear is opening up, nobody will have heard of Venue, and, is the Jumeirah Group name well enough known to the international traveller who comes into Dubai?
Well, I think they've got a very strong presence. They're well known internationally for properties like the Burj Al Arab. So
people know the properties, but do they actually know the Jumeirah Group stamp well enough for the subset to work?
Well, I think they do, and it's going to take time, obviously, to create a presence overseas. But they're going to focus in their backyard, focus on Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the rest of the GCC, and then expand it from there. It's the same process that the Address have done with Vida. Vida is also their alternative brand outside of the Address, and they're got one property, and they slowly will be expanding it as their market awareness strengthens, as these opportunities arise as well.
So these things can work really, really well. Vida, it's a great hotel down in downtown. It used to be the Kamadine, didn't it? And they've done a really great job with it. We talked about W as being a textbook example of a really, really good diffusion brand from Starwood. But if we stay with Starwood, I would argue that there's perhaps an example where you've got 2 competing brands that are just so similar that the waters are muddied. They've got their Sheraton brand, which is a kind of 5-star business hotel brand, and Le Méridien, which to me is an identical 5-star business hotel brand. And that to me is brand diversity gone a little bit too far. You can have too much, can't you?
Well, I think it's ensuring that you've still got that brand equity within it. You mentioned that you've got Sheraton and you've got Le Méridien, but they've both got historical significance that they carry their own weight when it comes to those particular brands. So yes, you might say that there is a lot of consistency and competition within those 2 brands for the same sort of market, but they still have the historical relevance that they can still draw on people into those individual properties based on the individual names.
Finally, Mandarin Oriental just announcing that it's going to be entering this market, not for 2 or 3 years yet. In a world of big luxury hotel brands, it's very difficult to stand out and be one of the best, but I guess Mandarin Oriental achieves that. It's a cut above even the most luxurious hotel brands, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Mandarin Oriental and Peninsula, they're 2 Asian brands that have just got a huge amount of positive stigma of just being a cut above the rest. As you mentioned, the service standards are exceptionally high. They've got properties in Asia that exceed everyone else, and it's a very exciting time to have Mandarin Oriental come into the market and occupy a strong presence on Jumeirah Beach and compete with the likes of Four Seasons, which are going to be opening on later this year, and compete with the Jumeirah properties and the ones further down by the marina.
How have the occupancy rates and the room rates held up over the summer?
There was some challenging month in July for Dubai hotels. Occupancy dropped down to 50%, but that was obviously due to the Ramadan effect. Ramadan occurred during the entire month of July and not partially like you've seen in the last couple of years. So that really did impact the performance of hotels. Average rates were slightly up on last year, which is a trend that's been continuing all throughout the year. However, profitability was a big challenge for hotels this year, with the average occupancy or average profitability just above break-even point.
You say the average was about 50%. We had the guys, it was fact from Jumeirah in, from some of their properties like Madinat Jumeirah, and they were saying in July they were still enjoying 70 to 80% occupancy. And I think some of the beach hotels more broadly did quite well, which suggests if the average is 50 and you've got a few stars doing 70 or 80%, there must have been a lot of hotels in the city down to 20, 30, 40%, which is just like the bad old days. That must have been tough for them, Chris.
Yeah, it's part of the seasonality that hotels, especially in the city, experience. If you're heavily corporate orientated, and when that corporate demand dries up during this period of time, you really do lose the key room nights of demand. So that they factor all of this into their business plans throughout the year, and during that time you do see a lot of promotions of city hotels, and they're really trying to capture some of that low end leisure market that are going to be staying for a couple of days while they're in transit.
Finally, we had big plans announced from Miras, one of the developers in Dubai, for not one, not two, but 3 theme parks: Hollywood, Bollywood, and Lego. That was it, wasn't it? How significant are these, Chris?
Well, they're huge. It's something that Dubai is constantly focusing on, and that is to try and diversify the leisure attractions and activities for visitors to enjoy. You've seen these 3 big announcements come along. It's a couple of months after the Mall of the World project, which was announced, which also has theme parks in the largest world, and it talks of 100 hotels in it. So at the moment, Dubai is going through another growth period when it comes to the announcement and commencement of large projects.
But we're running short of time, Chris. Here's a question we talked about. We were speculating about which brands would be in Hollywood. Still, the king of theme parks is Disney, isn't it?
Yep.
Any prospect, do you think, of getting a Disneyland in Dubai? What has to happen to get a Disneyland?
I think you need to have the right amount of space in the right location, and have the right partner. Disney occupies a huge amount of area, and you need to have the right area and the right location of the right size in order for that to work.
Could it potentially happen here in Dubai?
I think it could, yes.
Chris Hewitt is Senior Consultant at TRI Hospitality Consulting. Chris, it's always nice talking to you. Really appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you.